Hi. Okay, just wanted to pop on quickly. Whilst I wait to pick my daughter up, I'm parked up, I'm not driving. I get asked a lot about exposure therapy. It seems to be this word that's thrown around for people that are kind of being told that they somehow need to throw themselves in at the deep end, force themselves to do something that they're really uncomfortable with in order to get better at doing it. And sometimes there's a mix-up with maybe what I'm saying to people about, because I'm not encouraging people to do exposure therapy. I'm encouraging people to get on and live their lives, and there's a difference for me. There's quite a lot of negative connotations attached to exposure. It kind of like indicates negativity in that we're exposing ourselves to something that's not comfortable. And sometimes getting on with and living life is exposing ourselves to something that's not entirely comfortable for us. But let me give you an example of what I see as the difference. Like, some people may go to a therapist to have to do exposure therapy and say that their exposure is to something that really is uncomfortable for them. So say it's something sexual, it feels really uncomfortable. And they then may be told to go and think about this thing for as long as they can until the feeling settles. Well, I would never do that. I won't encourage people to go and think about something that distresses them. However, if exposure is about getting yourself out of the house because you're feeling like your safe space is in the house at the moment, then yeah, it's going to need some kind of stepping into that discomfort at some point. But would I say to somebody, go outside and force yourself to stay out for 8 hours until it feels better? No. But I might encourage them to get out for a little bit. So say, for example, this is like a silly example, but say you had a fear of frogs. My mum has a fear of frogs. If you had a fear of frogs, so you could say, okay, strictly speaking, if someone was going to give you, I don't know, exposure therapy, that they might take you to somewhere where there's hundreds of frogs and get you to a place where you can pick up the frogs and hold them and befriend the frogs. Well, how many of us really need to go out befriending frogs to live our best lives? Not me. I'm not fussed about frogs, but I'm not kind of feeling like I'm missing out because I'm not going picking one up every day. But yet, if you are someone whose your irrational fear about frogs has become so intense that you won't walk by a canal, for example, or by a pond in case there's frogs, and that's debilitating, then to me the exposure is about realising you can go along a canal and without the thoughts about frogs, hang on, my daughter's popping in, and have some uncomfortable thoughts about frogs. It's all right, darling, come in. And get used to that discomfort, and that'd be okay. I don't necessarily... Hi, she had exams today, they go okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. That we don't necessarily then need to go to a frog farm, I don't know if a frog farm exists, and put ourselves around thousands of frogs. Like, we don't need to be taking this to the extreme. It's just about being able to go out and live your life and not forcing yourself. So if you struggle to be out of the house all day or go a certain distance from your home, then yeah, it might be about getting out more with the help and support of someone who helps you understand more how thought works. But it's not about saying, right, you failed until you're out every day for 8 hours and loving every minute of it. Yeah, so I do get asked a lot about exposure therapy. Like, I will be encouraging you to go out and live your life, absolutely, even if that involves some discomfort. But what I won't be doing and don't endorse is, and apologies if any therapists out there do exposure therapy and thinking, who is she to say, but it just does not work for me and the way that I believe the best way to help people with anxiety and overthinking and stress. So, you know, I just can't put myself in a position to force people to put themselves in really uncomfortable situations, because I truly believe that the more we accept our differences, the more we accept our capabilities and just slowly push ourselves out of our comfort zone, I think that will just come naturally anyway. Well, I know it will. So I'm not about to force people into facing their biggest fears. And if you do face your biggest fears, brilliant. You don't have to force yourself, okay? But where there's a difference is if it's stopping you from just living your everyday life how you want to live it, then yeah, it needs to be worked on. It needs to be understood more so that you can do that. But this idea of exposure, and I have had conversations with people who've had exposure therapy and been not forced, but encouraged to do some things, to sit with some thoughts that absolutely cause them a huge amount of distress. That's not what I'm about. So I just wanted to share that. I hope that makes sense. So if it sounds contradictory ever that I'm saying, yeah, you can just go out and do it and live your life, because I will. I'm very kind of like, not matter of fact, but I know that people that tell me that they're scared of this or scared of that and can't do it, I know absolutely that they can. I know that their thoughts are in the way, and I'll absolutely help them get to that place. So I'm not saying it as just force yourself, you know, and face your worst fears. I'm just, you know, there's a difference. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you're all well, and I will speak to you soon.